Hello everyone and welcome to the Week 21 edition of Instant Replay, where I give you my take on the most controversial plays of the weekend, the last MLS weekend before video review. I'm Simon Borg. We start in Houston, where the visiting Portland Timbers twice jumped out to leads against the Dynamo, who've been unbeatable at home. But I thought the Timbers' second goal could have been taken off the board because of what looks to me to be a foul by Fernando Adi on Houston center back Leonardo. You see the push-off, which allows Sebastian Blanco a free look at goal and a momentary 2-1 lead for the Timbers. Beginning next week, this play can be reviewed for a potential clear and obvious error since it results in a goal, and goals are one of the 4 reviewable match-changing incidents for video review. The Timbers thought they had a third goal in the 55th minute when Adi tapped the ball into an empty net, but this goal was called back for offside. The flag doesn't come up from assistant referee Nick Uranga, but referee Jose Carlos Rivero puts down a line and has a chat with him, ultimately ruling that an offside Fernando Adi interfered with an opponent at the very start of the play. In this case, Adi prevents Leonardo from making a play on the ball. About 5 minutes later, the Timbers felt they also should have had a penalty when Blanco hits the deck in the Houston box, but the referee Rivero doesn't award it. On the replay, it looks to me like Houston's AJ De La Garza does get Blanco, and beginning next week, this is a play that could be reviewed if the referees deem the on-field decision to be a potential clear and obvious error. Timbers fans also had a gripe on the Houston equalizer since it came on a free kick they argue should not have been awarded. And while it looked like a foul to me in real time, the slow-mo replay does seem to indicate that Chara got the ball cleanly. Now, it's worth pointing out, the awarding of that free kick is not reviewable when video review comes online because restarts are not one of the 4 reviewable match-changing incidents: goals, penalty kicks, straight red cards, and mistaken identity. And if referees had to review every restart and their placement, there would just be way too many stoppages. To Atlanta, where the home team was down 1-0 and proceeded to have 3 penalty kick shouts that referee Alan Chapman had to rule on. And all of them can be reviewed beginning in Week 22 if the VAR check detects a potential clear and obvious error made on the field. The first one came in the 42nd minute when Miguel Almiron was left appealing for a handball committed by Montreal's Dani Toya, and on replay, I think he has a case. Look at how Toya has his arms outstretched slightly, but Chapman does not go for it. Another handball shot in the 53rd minute, but here I think Chapman did well not to call the penalty. The ball takes a deflection off an Orlando player and then goes off the arm of Orlando's Cristian Higuita, who has no time to react. And then with 15 minutes remaining, Atlanta's Greg Garza goes down in the box on this slide challenge by Orlando's Jonathan Spector. But I think that's a fair challenge by Spector, and the contact happens as a result of the follow-through. No penalty was the right call for me. But Atlanta would ultimately get their equalizer in the run of play in stoppage time. And credit here to assistant referee Peter Balciunas, who I thought made the right decision to keep his flag down on what was a tight call. And for my money, that was the best decision of the week. The match finishes in a 1-1 draw. Moving to Rio Tinto Stadium, where Crew SC's Justin Merrim was lucky referee Kevin Stott didn't catch this high leg to the groin area of RSL center back Marcelo Silva. But Stott didn't miss this handball in the box committed by Crew SC defender Josh Williams, who makes himself big and stretches out the arm to make contact with the ball. That penalty is a good call, and Joao Plata converts for the momentary 1-1 equalizer in a match that finished 2-2. To the goalless draw in LA, where the Galaxy's Romain Alessandrini wanted a penalty in the 31st minute, but there's nothing here for me. I think that's a good no call by referee Armando Villarreal. The match marks Siggy Schmidt's return to the Galaxy, but it could have taken a bad turn for him just minutes before halftime when midfielder Jermaine Jones tackles Seattle's Nicolas Lodeiro like this. He gets a yellow card from the referee, but I thought it was worthy of a red card given the force and direction of the tackle. That's endangering the safety for me, not for Villarreal. The Galaxy did have a player sent off in this one, and it was Jelle Van Damme, who received a second yellow for his flying 2-footed tackle on Lodeiro in the 86th minute. But I would have gone straight red for that challenge. Down to 10 men, LA would hold on for the home draw. Nothing controversial to report in New England, Minnesota, or Kansas City, where all the home teams won, and credit to referees Robert Sabiga, Nima Sagafi, and Alan Kelly and all their crews. And we saw a good eye from referee Hilario Grajeda in San Jose, where Colorado's Jared Watts took down Simon Dawkins near the edge of the box. And after watching the replays, it in fact looks to me like the foul occurred just outside the area. Now, I thought Grajeda could have probably shown a second yellow to Rapids left back Mike DeFont, for this handball that, in my opinion, stopped the promising attack with the score still 0-0. But Grajeda graces him. And remember, this play will not be reviewable with video review. Only straight red cards fall on that list of 4 reviewable match-changing incidents. But penalty kicks are on that list, and there were 2 PK decisions in the final 10 minutes, one for each side. But the referee did not point to the spot on either one. First, in the 81st minute, the replay showed that San Jose's Shea Salinas had a whole lot of Marlon Hairston's jersey as he went down in the box. But Hairston doesn't get the call, which could have meant a potential equalizer. Then in stoppage time, I thought San Jose's Nick Lima went down a little too easy, and Grajeda was right there and says play on. Good no call for me. A big moment in the match between Dallas and Vancouver happened just before halftime. FCD's Roland Lama scores a potential equalizer, but the goal is disallowed for offside. And as the replays show, that's a great call by assistant referee Jonathan Johnson. So Dallas doesn't score there, and then on the other side of halftime, Kellen Acosta is whistled for this penalty kick after referee Baldomero Toledo rules that Acosta clatters into Freddy Montero to get this ball in the box. But I'm going to disagree on that one. To me, that's 2 players coming together on a 50-50 ball, and Acosta simply beats Montero to it. Now, as we've mentioned before, since this is a penalty kick, it falls under one of those 4 match-changing incidents that will be reviewable when video review comes online next week. But remember, it would only be overturned if the referees determined that the on-field decision was a clear and obvious error. And watch carefully. It didn't happen on the initial coming together, but while both were on the ground here. That's violent conduct, and I think it's safe to say that a VAR would have seen it in the same way. After that penalty to put the Caps up 2-0, any hopes of a Dallas comeback really took a hit when midfielder Carlos Grueso was sent off for delivering this elbow on Jordi Reina. And watch carefully. It didn't happen on the initial coming together, but while both players were on the ground here. That's violent conduct, and I think it's safe to say a VAR would have seen it the same way. The Whitecaps would go on to win 4-0, and assistant referee Jonathan Johnson made another great call on a Freddy Montero goal, the Whitecaps' third. It's tight, but I do think the Colombian forward is in line with the last defender when the pass comes through. That's a good goal. At Red Bull Arena, referee Ricardo Salazar had an easy decision to make in the 22nd minute when Montreal goalkeeper Maxime Crepeau, who was making his MLS debut, upends Daniel Royer in the box. That's a penalty, and Royer converts himself. And it can be argued that the Red Bulls should have had another penalty in the 42nd minute when Tyler Adams was fouled by Montreal's Daniel Lovitz. The referee Salazar places the ball just outside the box, but the replays seem to indicate that the contact happened inside. Either way, Salazar and the referee crew will have the help of the VAR beginning next week, since that play entailed a potential penalty kick call. The Red Bulls won 4-0, but the third goal had a hint of an offside based on the replay. Check out Bradley Wright Phillips' position on this cross. It looks to me like he's ahead of both the ball and the last defender, but assistant referee Jeffrey Greason keeps the flag down and the goal stands. And before we leave Red Bull Arena, I felt Montreal's Hernan Bernardello risked big time when he kicks up at New York's Felipe and gets him right between the legs. I thought that was violent conduct myself, but the officials ruled the incident a throw-in. Serious missed incidents of violent conduct will be reviewable since they involve potential straight red cards, one of the 4 match-changing incidents. And we end at BMO Field, where with Toronto up 1-0 in the 63rd minute, I thought TFC's Marky Delgado should have seen a straight red for this kick-out at NYCFC's Jonathan Lewis. The rookie makes the case to referee Chris Penso, but no cards were forthcoming. Less than 5 minutes later, Toronto would double their lead on this sumptuous Sebastian Jovinko free kick. But there was some question as to whether the set piece was a fair challenge by Lewis. I think the angle from behind clearly shows that Lewis comes from the right and charges Jovinko, who was in possession of the ball. It was not a 50-50. Now keep in mind that as we mentioned on a previous free kick, the awarding of free kicks not reviewable even when they subsequently result in a goal. Toronto put the match out of reach with their third goal on a penalty kick, earned and converted by Josie Altidore. And the video is cut and dried here. NYCFC defender Alexander Callens pulls back on Altidore in the box, and Penso doesn't hesitate to point to the spot. And Penso would do it again in stoppage time, this one in favor of the visitors, as Delgado makes himself big with his arms outstretched and blocks this cross. Maxi Morales steps up, but can't convert. And we end with some footage shared via Twitter by Older Goaler, and what looks like a potential elbow by Callens on the man of the match, Sebastian Jovinko, who reacts like this. The incident wasn't spotted by the officials, but that ends beginning next week when video review makes its debut. It's going to be all the talk next Monday. Until then, for our editor Rich Hernandez, I'm Simon Borg. See you next time!